you have 2 years and then you're cooked. So calling this a one-person agency because not necessarily meaning that you should go out and fire everyone at your agency, but really just where I believe that this market is going from a marketer and also from an agency point of view. We are going to start seeing a mass consolidation of jobs just in terms of roll up, in terms of capabilities, and really giving you or people within your organization the ability to really just kind of become like a one-person agency in themselves, just depending on the scope of what you're doing. So I don't know about y'all, but the past month I have been seeing nonstop on my YouTube, on my TikTok, just everywhere, pretty much every major creator, even big news outlets just talking about AI. They tend to use a lot of a fear angle. I mean, you'll notice here too, the fear mongering angle between even just the same creators here, right? This concept of like, you have 2 years and then you're cooked. And this dude over here, I'm not sure what it is. I've watched a bunch of his stuff, pretty good stuff, but like literally two different interviews, same caption, it's getting worse, right? There's an element of fear mongering that's happening here because inherently, I think all of us as humans understand what this technology could do to us, especially in the marketing space, right? Like marketing is definitely one of the industries that AI is going to impact quicker than others because the workflows are just already there in a lot of ways. So I'm throwing this out here because I agree with a lot of the underlying sentiments of what they're talking about, but I also want to present this more as an opportunity point of view because I think that there is a tremendous opportunity over the next 2 years, not necessarily like you have 24 months and then you got to move out into the woods and figure something out and start living off the land. I don't think that's the case per se, but I'm also not a futurist, dude. I don't really know. All I know is the technology that I see in front of me right now and the power that it has and the potential that it has. And potential, I think, is a key word there because, David and I were talking about this the other day. There's a learning curve to this stuff. And I put it in my notes. I'm probably going to butcher it, but like you have to put in a lot of work before it gets easier with this type of stuff. There's a big learning curve. You have to invest a significant amount of time, but I almost see it as an opportunity as well. What I mean by that is that it's kind of like when you were learning SEO, right? Like you have to learn this stuff. You have to learn how to use this. You have to learn how to rebuild your workflows through it, how to communicate through the platform, how to learn new words like MCP and all these different things. Like it takes effort, right? This is not like a push button solution. Everyone's saying that it will get there, but right now it's not. And right now is the opportunity. So throwing all these things out there, and I want to just quickly go through what I think is the timeline. And again, these dates, dude, who knows? It could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, it could be 60 years, right? But just in terms hyper specific to what I think in terms of our business model, the agency business model, specifically us as marketers, what's happening, where are we going, what does the future of our business look like? Because I'm calling this one person agency because I do believe in the next 3 to 5 years, we probably will be functioning more as a one person agency. Yes, Claude did help me build this, just FYI. That's why it looks so sexy and sleek. But right now, from now until the next year, I think we're in the roll up of the VAs, the offshore, and really kind of like the entry level junior marketers, right? Software has already kind of done a lot of this stuff. I mean, even just like auto posting on social media, you could be like, oh, you don't need somebody to do it, but like you still needed somebody to like think and manage and strategize through it. But what we're seeing right now, I mean, what the technology can do right now is workflow automation. And that's really what it's good for, right? I was actually just on a call before this with a law firm prospect who went with like a full AI agency. They're charging 10 grand a month and they're just like giving it all over to AI. Like they don't even do customer service. It's pretty crazy. And like the website that it built is garbage. Like you can't just be like, hey, go do this. Go build me a whole new website, push button. Go build me 10 pieces of content, push button. It's the workflows. So it's taking what you're currently doing that works and migrating in through that. So when we talk about like building content or doing technical SEO or reporting, it's about the workflow. It's not about the outcome and the output per se. And that's really important. And that's really what we're seeing right now. It's a production tool. So things like writing ad copy, reporting, stuff that used to take David and I forever. Like we couldn't even figure some of these things out because it was just too time consuming and expensive. Things like blended search reporting, like getting AdWords data and organic data together and crosswalking it can now be done inside of Claude in 10 minutes. It's pretty impressive actually what it can do, right? So that's where we are right now. And I'm already seeing for our business, we just don't need VAs anymore. We're not going to need VAs. And part of that is saying, okay, we're going to work to take those workflows like GBP optimization, GBP management, and rebuild it through Claude. Just like you would build a SOP for a VA to do that, you can now build that through Claude.
I think it's also helpful to think about this from the perspective of the client as well, and like how their expectations are shifting as AI adoption becomes more normalized.
Yep.
Right. So one thing I've been seeing a ton of is people are more open to just a random PDF or doc that was clearly AI generated, right? But is correct, being shared with them, right? So the kind of polish or the like maybe rigid data pipeline that's set up and you have data studio and it's all professionalized. Like I think people on the other end of the line are much more open to kind of rough outputs and actually because you can produce anything, like brevity is more valued. So I think that can definitely be an advantage here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was on a coaching call with a Blueprint member like just a couple weeks ago, and he was showing me his proposal that was like 50 pages long. And I looked at it and I was like, this was built in AI, wasn't it? He was like, yeah, I built it in Claude. And I was like, this is going to start becoming, and it was good too. Like it would like if you'd have showed me that 5 years ago, I'd be like, oh, this is awesome, dude. A 30-page proposal, like with all now it's like, okay, we're going to be so inundated. It's so easy to do this stuff that information, kind of to your point, David, right, isn't as valuable. It's like, just give me what I need to know and it's right. And then the output
Because
literally
think
spent.
about what they're doing with it as well. You know,
Yeah.
they're taking the docs that you share and they're putting them into like a Claude desktop project for your work together so that they can
Yeah.
ask questions later.
Yep, absolutely. So the next wave that I think is going to come is going to start to be the rolling up of generalist agencies. I get a lot of pushback online when I talk about this because if you're in the blueprint, you know I've been talking about this forever, just in terms of specialization. Moving to just work with law firms is the smartest business decision I've made in 10 years. Just that alone. I mean, it has so many benefits just in terms of like aligning processes, aligning outcomes. Lawyers want to work with people who work with lawyers because I know their business model, all that type of stuff. But when we talk about the technology being layered on top of that and what the value becomes, right? So if we talk about that and just bleeding into the next one too, which is like the specialist moat area, which is, I think in just a couple of years, we're going to be pitching based on the agent stack that we have, right? Like I'm going to be pitching my agent stack versus another agency's agent stack. How do we differentiate if it's all kind of like built from using the same, if we're all building in Claude, if we're just going to Claude and being, hey, blah, blah, blah. The differentiator is the data, right? So the unique first party data that we're able to feed it based on the campaigns that we're working on and the subject matter expertise. Those two things, if you're working with everyone, e-commerce, local businesses, all these different things, just kind of doing a generic SEO or whatever service that you're doing, just not going to have as much value, right? So the specialization of what we do continues to be more and more and more important because these tools are just going to like gobble up that data and become more valuable. Like, and I see this a little bit now too, right? Like I'm going to show you our proposal in a minute. I have a sales admin, her name's Annette. She's working on her own machine. I'm working on mine. And we're starting with the same prompt, but it's giving a different output, right? Like a very similar different prompt and very different outputs. Like, why is that? Because of the input that we're giving the tool, right? So what that means is that a lot of people are like, well, if everyone's using AI, isn't everything just going to be commoditized? In a sense, yes. Like if we're all going to ChatGPT or Claude and being like, hey, write me a 5,000 word blog post on how to do SEO, it's going to be garbage slop. But if we're training it on first party years of data, and if we're continuously learning, just like we're learning now and rolling that into our service, it's just going to happen at a much faster speed. I think the final piece of this, like the true future of agencies, is going to be much more of almost like a fractional CMO, where you'll come to somebody like me or David or any of you, and I'll be like, I'm bringing my own, you just need me. Like I'm coming in with my own stack that I'm going to build and customize for your business based on your customers, your data, your needs, right? So I'm going to come with like my own stack. And that's really what we're trying to start imparting now through the blueprint and moving forward, which is like, we're going to help build our own blueprint stack based on what we have, but we're going to teach you how to customize that. We're going to teach you how to start building your own internal stack and really building the value into your own stack of what you do here. I'll just kind of, if you have any forecasts for what you see coming in the future, where we're going as agencies and marketers, again, this is very high level. I do believe that, we're just going to keep rolling up positions until it gets to a point where it's almost going to be based on, more singularity in terms of people or small teams who come with a full stack of everything, like an entire marketing department that can be rebuilt and customized and rolled out at
Yeah.
the client level.
Yeah, one way to think about it is like what's baked into the model versus what's yours, and having a kind of stack, whether it's like a folder structure, set of tools and scripts, API integrations, etc., that you keep compounding on over time, kind of like sharpening your knives, like that becomes your skill, right? And everything else is kind of that's what separates what you can do versus what's just like baked into the model.
Yeah.
And so what we're really aiming to do here is like work with you to set up the foundation, but then, what you build on top of it is what, really separates you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really cool. What I'm excited about in the program is that I'm excited for the community, right? I'm excited for people to share. I'm already seeing people share in the chat now about like what they're doing, what they're building. And I think context is so important when you do this stuff. That's why, I'm just going to get into right now, just kind of showing you some of the things that I've been using this for in terms of use cases. So I'm going to show you a couple proposals that we have. I'm going to show you our Facebook ads proposal, and I'm going to show you our SEO proposal analysis. And what's really cool about this is that what I show you now is not going to be the same thing that I would show you in a week, in a month, even in a day from now. Because literally right now, I have somebody, again, an admin who is working on a proposal for a client that is now highly custom, right? So what's really awesome about this technology is the ability to hyper customize it for the prospect. Before, we were trying to hyper templatize everything because it was so much work to do these proposals. And I'm going to kind of talk about what the process was before versus the process now. Versus now, we can spend our time letting Claude do the legwork in terms of the analysis and the customization based on the input that I feed it. Facebook ads for us has always just been a straight template. Now, this is it's a good deck. I think it's solid. It's had a solid conversion rate for us, but it was a straight template. Now, this took me probably, I don't know, 15 to 20 hours to build. It sounds like a lot, but when you really think about how much time it takes you to like sit down and build like a deck, it's a lot of time, right? It's the deep work. It's not just like a one-off sprint that I can build this in. This probably took me like a week to build. It goes into kind of like why Facebook ads, some keys to success, and then it goes through kind of like step by step what our process is, what they get, timeline for results, and then scope of work, and then pricing, and then some case studies and examples, right? So solid deck, right? Like I said, I didn't really have too much of an issue with this. My issue with this was just the inability to customize based on the conversations that I was having. So what I decided to do was port this over, and I did this actually through Claude Cowork, right? We'll talk a little bit more about Claude Code. For me, I could have done this in Claude Code, but at the time I didn't know how to. So I just did this in Claude Cowork. I started by just feeding it this deck, and I didn't like the output. So then I decided, because the design of it was really bad. So then what I decided to do is I decided to go in and build some brand guidelines first that we could then use internally as our own design system to then scale out to everyone who's working on documents now. So like I talked about before, is like everyone working, one of the challenges with working in this ecosystem now is that it's very like, yes, you can share it. David can get into more details about how to share this stuff, but it still very much lives on like your own machine, right? It's a very good personal productivity tool now. I think it has a long way to go in terms of like an organizational workflow tool, but there are ways around it. And one of those ways is trying to standardize a lot of things to get the outputs to look as similar as possible for small things like messaging and branding. So I was able to go in and build these brand guidelines, just kind of redefine our logo a little bit, just a lot of different stuff here, some typography. Even this alone, like, this probably took me like 2 to 3 hours to do. But this alone, I mean, if you were going to go in and build brand guidelines in the past, I mean, there are agencies that charge, I don't know, 10 grand for something like this. Now, like, forget about it. And now my design team has this. This is an HTML format. We have it on a live website that they can then go in and do. But also Claude has this now. So now we're able to make sure that at the very least, our design system, when we're talking about proposals, client documents, they all do match and follow the same branding. This is the new Facebook ads proposal. And what is really awesome about this one is that it's basically just an online slide deck. One is the ability to customize this. So what I do, I record the calls on Zoom. I then get the transcript from Zoom and I feed it directly here to Claude Cowork. I just have this Cowork tab that I have where when I come in, I will just prompt it to, here's a transcript. Can you customize the executive summary slide? This is what I want as a projected ad spend. This is what I want as a cost retainer. This is what I want you to showcase in terms of the results that we've gotten for similar types of law firms. And then it will go through, take 5 minutes to build it, and then it's done, right? So this is what an example output looks like. Again, customized slides here in the beginning, just talking about, the conversation that we had, ad spend, projected cost per case, some relevant case studies that are similar to this type of prospect, why our ads win. So these are all also like, I took the time also to rebuild the proposal a little bit because I felt like it was very wordy and long. And this is where this is also really good too, is that once you kind of get a base for this, it's kind of like the opposite of the Pareto's principle, like 20% dictates 80%. This is like, you got to do 80% of the work, but then like after that, it's so easy to iterate and to build and to scale this type of work. It's just much better. So this is now the proposal that we have. Again, very simple, very easy, very clean. and very fast, right? That's the Facebook ads proposal. Again, there's not a whole lot on Facebook ads. The SEO stuff is much more.
Hey, Ryan here. Hope you liked that video. If you want more, check out these two videos right here on this screen.